Welcome to the Expressoul Health and Wellness Podcast. In each episode, you'll learn from experts about the best practices and technologies to live a happier, healthier, and hopefully a longer life. Here is your host, Claudia Erdenola.
Welcome to Expressoul Health and Wellness Podcast. My name is Claudia Erdenola. Today, we're going to talk about artificial electromagnetic fields and the effects on the human health. Our guest today is Justin Frandson. Justin is an entrepreneur and founder of Athleticism and EMFRocks. So with no further ado, here is Justin. Hello, this is Expressoul Health and Wellness Podcast, and today we have the pleasure to talk to Justin Frandson. How are you, Justin? How are you doing?
Amazing, Claudia. Thank you for having me on.
Thanks for being part of Expressoul Health and Wellness Podcast. So for our listeners who don't know who you are, why you don't tell us a little bit about yourself, your professional background, and how you get interested in researching these negative effects of the electromagnetic fields on human health?
Yes, well, thank you. I'm so excited to be on with you. We got introduced through our good friend Asher Cowan with Dr. Tom Cowan's Garden.com. And I went on and spoke with his dad on the body and the universe and how we're one and the difference between us and EMF. And so that's where this all started. And
wow, with Dr. Tom Cowan.
Yeah.
Very good.
And Asher's been just, they're a huge reseller of our grounding bags. And so that's a fun connect we have. But I start off in the business about 25 years now. So we're on my 25th year of Athleticism.com. And I'm a performance coach. I work with amateur and professional athletes and do nerve work for sports performance, stretching, light sound therapy, and teach people how to juggle, do ambidexterity work, and then also treat concussions. So it's a really out-of-the-box approach to human performance and health. And what I saw in the field was athletes breaking down from the wearable technologies. And whether they were driving electric cars or just wearing smartwatches on their wrist, they were breaking down from excess EMF, the earbuds, the wireless earbuds, all that was chipping away at their life force. And so I knew about a decade ago, I'm like, I gotta figure this thing out and understand how it all works and then find a solution and answer to those challenges. And I did.
So that is wonderful. So something that I would like to make a clear distinction here for our listeners, because we hear this everywhere around us. Oh yes, it's the contamination from the electromagnetic fields. But we live in the universe with electromagnetic fields that are in nature. They are part of our universe. So what is the difference between the ones in nature, the electromagnetic fields, the EMFs that are in nature in our universe, versus the man-made artificial electromagnetic fields?
That is the best question. And when everyone understands the answer to this question, no one will ever live in fear again. And what it is the universe and us are made in wave forms that distribute equally in every direction. They're not one-directional waveforms.
Nope.
But these are. All electricity is a one-directional waveform or it doesn't work. But we're made one with the universe. So let's talk about the universe and us first. They're called scalar waves. They distribute equally in every direction. They're unpolarized by nature. So the sunlight's not a one-directional laser beam.
No.
That you could just see a dot on the wall. No, not at all. We wouldn't be here. The Schumann resonance, the healing pulse of the earth, isn't a one-directional, like you're in it and then you're out of it. It doesn't work like that. If you drop a pebble in a pond, it doesn't...
You see the waves.
Yeah, you see waves go out equally in every direction. It doesn't just go in one way, one direction, in a straight line. That's the scalar waves. That's how we're made, and that's how the universe is made. And then one other point, our chi, our energy, our life force, it doesn't just come out this one ear and go this way. It's a resonance. It goes out about 6 feet for sure in every direction.
Our aura. And we can measure it.
Our life force or measure, you can take a picture of it. You can curl in photography. You can see the color of the energy. That's how we're designed. That's how we're made. But these man-made stuff, Claudia, they're all one directional waveforms or they don't work. So that's why with electricity, they have an AC, alternating current with a DC. If those don't meet, then you're going to have static and dirty electricity. That's why the solar panels, you'll see them facing every direction, right? Because they're one directional waveforms. They try and create a panel around it, but they have to point in every direction for it to work in that direction. They're one directional waveforms. What ends up happening, those are polarizing for our body. And their speed, their waveforms are way faster of a polarizing waveform than we've ever experienced. And they end up being the biggest invisible environmental toxin and biotoxin that we've ever seen in the history of the universe.
I mean, you touch on a point that is, worth to get a little deeper into. A lot of people out there, they can see a toxin on water. They can see toxic food. They see that it's polluted and they won't eat it. Unfortunately, the toxicity of these waves, we don't see them. We are all surrounded by these electronics and so we don't see that contamination. It's something that is intangible, so to speak. We feel the effects, but we don't see it. Now, we have in our homes electricity since the earliest 1900s. And with the Industrial Revolution, all of these, incredible advances in electronics and making our lives convenient, having to, it was very enchanting the way that we were having electronics for every single task that we used to do. Our ancestors did manually, mothers and grandmothers used to do by hand, do it at electronic. So that was kind of captivating the attention of the people, and you wanted more and more of those gadgets, electronics, because make life easier. So when do you think that the real concerns of the effects of those electromagnetic fields caused by those technologies start being really into the awareness of the population? When that concern started?
Well, I think it started the last couple of years, really, when what's so-called, pandemic happened. What people started realizing is that their homes were not healthy and felt awful to be in all the time. And then with the voices of doctors like Tom Cowan, he shares a book called The Invisible Rainbow that categorized the history of electricity and life, and every major pandemic was directly correlated to increased shifts in our electromagnetic blanket of an atmosphere. In 1918, that was the Spanish flu. We introduced radio waves for the first time ever. Then World War II, radar, satellites in the Van Allen belt, and the Hong Kong flu. And then the last couple years rolled out 5G. These are categorized history and directly correlated with electrifications in our atmosphere. So for us, there's no scratching your head, Claudia. Like, we can make a call internationally in a split second. We can get, whatever it is to send us a password in like a split second. How does that do that? There's waves going all through us, and there are billions of waves per second. And the 5G, it's actually 60 to 90 billion waves per second of a one-directional polarizing charge. Guess what we sleep at when our brainwave state's sleeping and we're in that delta or theta brainwave state? Guess how many waves per second our brain's at.
How many?
1 or below 1 to 8. 5G phone, 60 to 90 billion waves per second. When we sleep, we're below 8.
Wow. That's a dramatic difference. So for our audience out there, we know that some certain waves of electricity are damaging. They are interfering with the nature of our biology. And we're talking about a common mention now all around us, 5G. What is exactly 5G? Do we need 5G? Why 5G?
Well, since 1996, our government set procedural levels on if something was ionizing, then it caused a thermal effect. It raised the body temperature and oscillated the cells in your blood and your body, and that's damaging. Non-ionizing means it doesn't create a thermal effect and it's okay. But guess what? So much technology's changed and the proximity to them's changed, but yet they won't go back and readdress those levels. So what we've gone from 2G, 3G, 4G, now to 5G, they keep increasing
5G.
the speed of the bandwidth because they're selling us a bill of goods that says, we want the whole world to be connected. We want you to have faster connections. But the irony is that the cable, like I have my computer hardwired, it's a cable. Fiber optic is faster. It's safer security-wise. It has minimal health challenges. There's just no downside to having faster, safer, more reliable with minimal health challenges. Like you just don't get that. And so they just keep ratcheting up and telling us that, hey, you guys, we want to have 5G because everyone needs to be connected. But the lie, it's the biggest lie ever, or one of them, because third world countries, they don't even have electricity. Remote areas.
I am from Colombia, and many places they don't have electricity.
No, they don't have electricity. So neither does the ocean, neither does the desert, neither do the remote mountains, like the forest. But they want to connect everything, Claudia. It's just a selling point for tracking, tracing, controlling. It's not enhancing. It's an environmental toxin to the likes we've never seen before. The amount of people that died that they said from the virus was crazy amounts, but It was from being polluted, not from a virus. And then it's mostly from the shot now, and then also being polluted from 5G. So the 5G is the challenge. That's really, really the biggest stressor that our bodies are adapting to.
Our current stressor. So it's something that we need to be very aware of. And you touch on that word, safe. When our government and the companies that are selling us these technologies, and again, I'm not complaining. I am communicating with you. You are in California. I am in Miami. And this podcast is going to be seen for people all over the world. So we all enjoy the connectivity, the way that we can communicate, we share information. But when these companies, these entities, these organizations tell us that all of these technologies are safe, I remember also they're saying smoking was safe. And that was they perpetrated the message for over 90 years. They also say asbestos was safe. And guess what? Until it wasn't. Right now, they have some suspicions that vaping may be not safe. But still they're vaping, So we know that those safe levels of exposure to the electromagnetic fields, the artificial electromagnetic fields, may be not exactly safe. So my next question is how we can measure in our homes, in our offices, how we know how much is our exposure to that radiation.
Well, the first thing we touched on is what you said, Claudia, is you can't see it. You can maybe feel it, but you just don't see it. And we get the symptoms of cognitive challenges from it, right out of the gate, if that's how someone might feel it. But
which ones are those?
Oh, well, lack of memory, behavior challenges, anxiety, stress, fatigue, headaches, headaches would be a big one. Ringing in the ears. Those are the ones that are all cognitive right out of the gate. And then you go into like a level 2 would be what we saw in the Havana cohort, the first attack of U.S. embassy workers on foreign soil with microwave radiation. And they were non-trauma concussion injuries, those seizures and bloody noses and rashes on their skin, and nausea, vomiting, all that. And then you go into the cancer, suicide, diabetes, Alzheimer's, cardiovascular. And now the biggest is lack of fertility. But those are the challenges.
Lack of fertility?
Yeah. So I'll go back to those, but let me answer your other question. What we do is we have meters. And this is what's so cool is we can't see the stuff, but you can quantify it. You can get a milligauss meter to meter electricity. You can get a dirty electricity meter that measures amps to volts. You go to StetzerElectric.com and you plug it in the wall, and it'll tell you how much dirty electricity is in your home. And then you could get a one directional radio wave, like a acoustimeter, that measures the electricity, and the wireless signals. And you could point it at your router and the thing will just start going crazy right out of the gates. So
those meters are easy to find,
they're easy to find. The acoustimeter, the one directional meters are, $500-ish. And the milligauss is, they're a couple $100 for that, and then a couple $100 for the other.
Got it. Okay, so we can measure our exposure because, we may be able to reorganize the electronics in our bedroom, for example. We may be able to do some adjustments, but literally the technology is all around us. And it's not really an easy way to get away from those technologies. So if we are continuously exposed to that, I'm just thinking about the way that our life is going. Is more and more emphasis in clean energies and clean living and electric cars. And this is something that we don't think about. We are being more exposed to the radiation created by artificial electromagnetic fields by using those. But we understand I have an electric car. Okay, so full disclosure here. How can I protect myself? How we can tell our audience that they have electronics at home, that they have the phones charging next to the bed, that they have the router, the computer, the camera, everything in their offices. How can we shield and protect ourselves from the effects of the artificial electromagnetic fields?
Okay, well, there's two things. One, it's free. You get outside and get grounded by nature. Really simple. And I'll dive into that in a second. Two, you look to our products to ground your house out. And we hand mine crystals. They have moisture and magnetic properties. These are the crystals that are inside this grounding bag, EMFRocks.com grounding bag. So we took the Earth's resonance that's free from outside, and we found the right spot with amazing resonance to help with your inside your home and create a coherence between us and the non-native EMF. So those are the first two things you can do, and literally the only two things you need to do is get outside and get grounded by nature, and then load up on the grounding bags. Now, real quickly, I wanted to say...
How you do grounded by nature first? How you do
Okay.
that?
Well, then I want to get back to the electric car.
Yes.
So,
okay.
the getting grounded by nature is really simple. It's free. Go outside. Our bodies act like a body battery. Okay. This is how they work. We get a negative ionic charge from the earth, And the Schumann resonance of the earth, the healing pulse of the earth, it's measured at about 7.83 hertz or waves per second. We get a positive charge from the unpolarized light that distributes equally in every direction of the sun. And we breathe in minerals. Hopefully we get it from our food as well. And we hydrate. So we have that conductivity in our body with water. And that's how our body battery works. Now, what happens is when we wear shoes and we live in electricity boxes, essentially what we're living in, the LED lights have transformers in them that kick off lots of dirty electricity. They're such bright lights that they're taxing for your body. We have Wi-Fi routers. We have, every device, the Alexas, the Nests, the AC units, wireless printers. You have Apple TVs and all the different wireless devices. We're self-inundating ourselves with these environmental toxins. We're making our home a really even more unhealthy. Even if the wiring in the home was safe, we're making it unsafe. So we got to understand how to get grounded by nature, to get outside and protect us by just going barefoot, touching a tree, jumping in a body of water, getting out in the sun, having a picnic, laying down, just get outside. That's the big thing. And then inside, just get the grounding bags and put one on your bed. 5 together, it clears 2,000 square feet. From there, then we look at understanding what the stressors are. Like, what are they? Is it the electrical lights here? Is it the LED lights? Is it the bad wiring? Did the transformer outside, is that not wired? Did rats eat those wires? So we have to rewire that. Did rats eat the wires in the house, in the attic? Look at all these things. And then look at your Wi-Fi router. Where is it? Is it in your kid's bedroom? I mean, is it in your bedroom? Is it close to the wall? Like, we need to know that you don't sleep with the head of your bed on the other side of a refrigerator. We don't sleep with the head of your bed on the other side of a smart meter. We don't sleep with our cell phone right underneath our pillow because it's always broadcasting, looking for a signal. It's saying, talk to me, talk to me, talk to me. So your brain goes into a twilight state, tries to figure out what's pinging it, and it never gets in that deep restorative sleep. And that's the whole point of sleeping, is to get in that lower brainwave state. But when you have billions of waves pinging at you, it's a challenge for the body.
You want me to, and we'll be back to the electric car because I'm really interested in that. But you mentioned it, the proximity of the phone, especially when you are sleeping. And I have a sad story experience to share here. My mother died from brain cancer. She developed a brain tumor on the left side of her head, right here on the ear side. And it was so localized, so precisely localized behind the ear, on the temporal, that when I talked to the neurologist in Colombia, this was in Colombia, and neurologist doctor, very good friend of mine, from childhood, and he was telling me that this is something that they're working on collecting data because they have seen a lot more cases on young people. And when he say young is, between the ages of 13 to 30, a lot of young people getting more and more brain tumors, and they are trying to, understand why they're localized, especially in one side, on the other side, like my mother was. And he said that they're having earlier findings that a lot of people that are dating, talking to their girlfriends, boyfriends, girls or friends, just normal, talking on the phone at night, they fall asleep with over the phone or the phone on the pillow, and the radiation is too close to the brain, and over time could be the cause of brain tumors. That I'm gonna have that neurologist friend of mine in this podcast soon. But when I want to understand my mother, why, I mean, my brother used to tell me she was watching a show at night. And after the show, she used to call my aunt to comment about the show. And it was late at night. And most of the time, she was falling asleep with the phone on the pillow. We don't know that for sure. But it is just too coincidental. And especially when I talked to my friend, the neurologist in Colombia, and he was telling me that all of these findings, they're trying to collect data actually with a university here in the States in trying to write a paper on it, because it's just too many cases on young people, and seems like, you know, that proximity of the phone, falling asleep with the phone on the pillow may be the cause. Again, this is something that earlier suspicions of what is the cause, but it happened in my family. So I just think that with all of these conveniences, we really need to be careful. We need to understand, and that's why it's so important that you're here to tell us ways that we can do, like the rocks, like the EMFRocks, your rocks, to protect ourselves. So the rocks have to be in the same package. They meant to be in that pack, correct?
Right. Yeah, you use them as is. You keep them sealed, and they basically have a resonance in them that helps facilitate healing. So no matter what the electrical stressor is, electricity, dirty electricity, wireless, even levels at 5G, it can help create a coherence, a harmony between us and the one directional waveforms. It's amazing. We sell them through doctor clinics all around the country. Dr. Tom Cowan's a huge reseller of our products and a promoter of them.
He used them. I saw it in his testimonial.
Yeah, they use them. Asher uses them. His kids slept through the night for the first time with the grounding bags. He couldn't get them to sleep through the night without bugging them. Yeah, it's been just a saving grace for so many that are sensitive to EMFs or that have healing challenges. So one of the protocols I want to share with you is you can use these grounding bags to recharge your body. So, hey, look, a lot of us get hit with some form of health challenges throughout our lifetime. Very rare that people don't. And what we want to do is to stay grounded while you're going through that process, because you'll start to heal. If your body loses its polarity, it's a lot more challenging to heal. So the grounding bags, you can use them to recharge the body. The 4 areas, your eyes, your teeth, your thymus, your upper chest, and your lower neck area, and then your large intestine below your belly button. Those are the 4 areas that get decharged from man-made EMF. So what we do is we use what we call an applied kinesiology technique, where you tap on the bag with one hand while the other hand covers your eyes. And you tap and cover, and you do that for about 20 seconds, okay? And that'll recharge the eyes. It says, hey, crystals, go to the eyes. And then you go to the teeth, direct it to the teeth. Mm-hmm. Tap and breathe, tap and breathe. And then your upper chest, tap and breathe, tap and breathe. And this is your electrical system for your whole body. So if your electrical system's off, your whole body's going to feel a little off and wonky. So tap on it and breathe. It'll help recharge. And then you do large intestine, tap and breathe. When you do that, it flushes your biofield of any stuck EMF. It recharges those areas that get decharged. You'll feel better. It'll 10x your energy. You'll sleep and integrate really well with them. It'll get rid of any toxicity in your field. So this is a self-home care protocol like no one's ever seen before.
Beautiful. And to use them in the bedroom, how you use them? Under the pillow, under the bed, how you use them? Well,
you want to put it, the closer to the better, but it does make noise, so you don't want to be touching it too much at night to keep you up. So I like to put it at the head of the bed, between you and your spouse. So on the bed, at the head of the bed, between the mattress and the headboard, and the electricity on the wall, that's the stuff that we want to clear. So if you have something between your head and the wall, that's going to be great for helping facilitate clearing that vibration. And as long as it's touching the bed, if someone says, hey, I don't want it on the bed, put it underneath and lean it against the leg of the bed. And that will work really well. You can also put it on your, real quick for sleep. You'll sleep 3 to 50% better. Dr. Rodney White, his deep sleep, he just tested over 50. His deep sleep went from 45 minutes to 100 minutes.
That's awesome.
That's incredible. And he's done sleep checking, testing for a decade or more. And this one improved his deep sleep consistently longer than he's ever had. And 2 months after, he said, hey, it started to drop a little bit. And I said, hey, take him outside and recharge him, put him on the ground. He took him outside, Claudia, and he put him on the ground for a minute, recharged him, brought him back inside, and he got back into the deeper state. So sometimes they just need a little recharge. We don't say
nature is something beautiful.
Yeah, it's so, but they know that it's a bioenergetic resonance. When you put this on something, it knows to take the good from it, to clear the bad. It knows how to recharge. It knows how to cleanse. It innately knows, it has this innate intelligence that is all for healing the planet to heal us and help facilitate healing us.
So for how long you can use the rocks? I mean, how long they are good to be used?
They'll last, I say, from anywhere from about 2 years to 10 years or maybe more. Why is that such a big gap? It's because the crystals will dry out at some point. That's the beauty of these.
Humidity.
Yeah, if you buy a product that's genetic, that's modified to kick off a resonance to try and overpower the other resonance, like that's a futile effort. You don't know when that's going to stop working or when it gets beat. These you do. They turn to dust. And when they lose their form, they lose their function. This is probably one of the biggest.
So it's time to buy new ones.
Yeah, this is probably one of the biggest selling points to the product. It's like, guys, it has intelligence and it has an expiration. Now, as long as you keep them, we keep them hot sealed in here, and then we double seal them inside of a silver static bag, and then we put an outer decorative cloth. As long as you keep it sealed, it should last a long time. Now, if someone gets it wet and it goes in the wash for some reason, like a mini grounding bag would go in the wash, or it gets in your car too long, it's really hot for an extended period of time, or the bag gets opened and not closed, it'll turn to dust. That's when you have to buy a new one. But it's the most feasible quantum, organic, natural product on the market. It's just the resonance of they're literally hand-mined crystals that have moisture properties with magnetic. Shungite, amethyst, all the other known crystals, they don't have that. They only have the magnetic. They don't have
humidity.
Yeah. So we have the moisture. It ends up being a conductor. It kicks off such a big resonance. So the game is more mass of the mind, the more grounding bags together kick off a giant resonance to help facilitate creating a coherence in your home. So if you have a 2,000 square foot home, you're going to need 5 grounding bags. If you have solar on the home, you're going to need 7 together. And then, so 5 per 2,000 square feet.
An extra for the electric car.
Okay. So you open that can up. So electric cars, you guys. Hey, Claudia, have you ever read any health books? And you've been into it for a while too. Have you ever read that sitting on a massive battery is good for your health?
I'm a civil engineer. I have 2 masters in engineering, and I'm telling you that any waves, any electricity that disrupt your own natural electricity is not good for you.
Yeah.
So you have to be careful.
Yeah. The battery kicks off lots of static. Now you can measure it with a milligauss meter, and you could see it'll be upwards of 35 milligauss if you're sitting right on that battery. I mean, that's massive. One of my colleagues shows them having 200 points lower in testosterone driving an electric car. 200 points. So if you're driving an electric car, you have 200 points literally lower testosterone than anyone else. And a lot of people, 50 and over will end up getting synthetics or hormone replacements or biodynamic stuff, which will buffer that effect. So especially where I live in Newport Beach area, and guys driving electric cars, they're all on synthetic hormones for sure. And so they don't notice that 20%. But a colleague of mine tested military and special forces. He threw in a variable of just guys and girls driving electric cars. It was the biggest marker change, Claudia, he'd ever seen. This is huge. So the testosterone drops. So if you're at, let's say, 1,000, you go to 800, you get the shot for the last 2 years. That drops you another 200 from another MD that I'm working with, testing her. So you take a perfectly healthy person, you give them a shot in an electric car, and you put them in a really challenging health position.
Now, you have to wonder because, yeah, you're absolutely right. The people that are in hormone replacement therapies may buffer that, and that's a way to, let's say, mitigate that effect. But a lot of young people, a lot of young men and women are driving electric cars, and they don't know, and they don't even concern about the levels of testosterone or female hormones, because a young person assumes that everything is perfect and their levels are normal and they don't have any disruptor, so to speak,
right.
not an stressor, because they can see it. You cannot see it. So it's invisible. It's just a force that we cannot touch, smell, and see. For those out there wondering what we can do to protect ourselves from that radiation when we're driving our electric cars, should we use those rocks?
The grounding
How
bag.
and where? Yeah. Where? Putting them where in the car?
I would put it directly underneath the driver's seat, and 7 grounding bags together in a paper bag or without a bag underneath the driver's seat, behind the driver's seat. Most of those cars are charged on the driver's side, so you gotta actually clear that. And if that's where the charge is, that's where a lot of the EMF's going to come up from, especially behind the driver's seat. So I would clear that side in a big way. And then if you have kids in there, I personally, Claudia, I can't sit in a Tesla. It aches. My body aches. I muscle test. I do lots of energy work for myself and other people. It's too strong of a resonance for me to sit in a Tesla. And it doesn't matter even if it's grounded better than other cars, it still has too much vibration and for me to be comfortable in it. So to your point before, electricity is not the answer. We need to go hydrogen, and you can get them. Yeah, that's, I think Toyota's making one that acts more like a combustion engine versus, the battery of a electric car. But electricity is not the answer. We're using the grid more to use that thing that's supposed to reduce the carbon footprint. How does that happen?
That's true.
Then you're mining coal and cadmium, all these precious minerals to make the battery. We're just doing it in other countries, so we're not seeing it here. But then it doesn't get more efficient when you drive it. If there's less fuel in it, it still weighs as much as it weighed before. And then you're left with the acid, with dead battery, with acid in it, filling up your land, fuel. So this is a really it's way worse than a net zero. The carbon footprint for electricity, cars, and batteries is way more massive than a smaller battery for a gas car.
That's so unfortunate, but I am glad that we are exposing this information today. So we had now a way to protect ourselves when we're driving electric cars, and we can place the EMFRocks under the seat. That would be great. And for all of you listening, all of this information and Justin links are gonna be included in the text description of this podcast and also in my website. So you can find that information permanently when you go to my website. I'm going to have a page where all of the affiliate codes are there. So you can go and visit Justin's store and purchase your rocks. And my following question is, are there other products that we can use to protect the phone, to have other protection from the EMFs?
Yeah, Scotty. The big thing is you can use a Faraday bag as well. And the Faraday bags protect you from your phone. They protect your phone from contact tracing, data harvesting, that excess information that they're always aggregating from you. And then it saves the life of the battery when your phone's inside of there. So the phone will still ring when it's inside of an EMFRocks Faraday bag.
I see.
But it dampens it to what bioinitiative.org would consider safe levels and muscle testing considers safe levels. So we actually drop it down to a safe level. So now if someone has to sleep with their phone on in their room, you put it in the Faraday bag and you can still get a good night's sleep. And then you get a grounding bag and it'll dampen any other extra resonances. And it'll create that coherence and harmony. So you guys, you'll start to heal better. You'll start to sleep better. Your life force will be stronger once you start using our EMFRocks products.
That is amazing. And I'm so happy that you enlighten us with all of this information. Because, I mean, I guess it's an ongoing question because we have been talking about the human health and how those artificial EMFs affect the human health. But most of us in our homes, we have pets. Are those little creatures that are our loves and part of our families, they are our furries families, are they being affected too?
They're being affected more than we can ever imagine because they can hear the bandwidth. When we turn on those meters, Claudia, the sound that the meters make is the sound that our pets hear all the time. So it's like having a speaker on a static station turn the volume all the way up when you have that in your home. So you'll see pets end up going and wanting to sleep on the grounding bag so they can create a resonance and actually create some
makes sense.
Yeah, and same with the plants,
sense.
the nerve systems and the plants. They're so intelligent. They're shut down with it. The birds and the bees, they communicate through millimeter waves. So if there's basically waveforms that are being broadcast that are disruptive to their migration patterns, to their communication, we're going to be in a really challenging place. So the biggest thing we could do is understand we have to stop this rollout of 6G and let everyone know that 5G is way more than enough. We should have stopped at 4G. No one pregnant in their first trimester should ever be on a phone. And if they do, they should have a grounding bag on them. And we have mini grounding bags for your purse, pocket, or backpack that you can carry. So for fertility,
for the young ones that like to wear the earbuds, I mean, I just don't think that is a good thing.
It's not.
After my mother's, I just very conscious about those things.
Yeah, Claudia, that's probably one of the biggest things. So California Department of Public Health, our health department from our state, did a test and it hid the findings, and it did it on cell phones. It hid the findings they got sued by a Berkeley professor. This is about 8 years ago or so. And the Berkeley professor said, hey, I don't want any money. Just tell us what you found. And so they won and they let it up there. But it was acoustic nerve challenges. And basically, there was a carcinogen. It's a class 2B carcinogen. So they found cancer, just full-on acoustic nerve challenges with this EMF. And there's a SARS reading. It's an absorption rating. The cell phone companies never test a phone next to the head. They test it away from the head. So for people that are putting it near their head, it should never, ever be used close to your head. You should be wearing corded earbuds.
A speaker.
Yeah, speaker is good. You can even get a port to hardwire your cell phone in, like I did my computer. There's that. You can get all the electricity in your home, get it on a timer so it turns off when you're sleeping. You could hardwire your home faster, safer. It's more reliable. The fiber optic, like I said earlier. Like there's so many things that you can do to dampen the resonance. Stop buying new cars. Like the whole new car industry is just awful. Those millimeter waves inside of the car from the Bluetooth are so strong. Even when you turn Bluetooth off, my meter still meters out. It's still super high resonance.
With the modern cars, you cannot turn off the Bluetooth because then you cannot work the car with the app. It has to be on the Bluetooth the entire time.
Yeah.
So thank God for the rocks.
Yeah, definitely. Or just buy an older car, go back to the older, the classic cars, and you won't have as much electricity in them. They'll last longer. The Range Rovers now, they're made with cheap parts. They last 50,000 miles and then they die. So anyone driving a Range Rover, get rid of it after 50,000 miles. It's like they're making really supposedly great cars. They don't last long. But the health ramifications, even inside of a car, whether it's electric or not, they're super challenging now with these newer cars. And then you have the toxicity of the heavy metals from the seats that they make them with heavy metals. So you have the toxins from the EMF and then the seats, and then they're all near your private parts, in the front of the dashboard, underneath the car. This isn't a recipe for health. Our bodies are so resilient, but man,
Absolutely
they
not.
break down when you beat it up for that long.
I just think that sometimes all of these technologies that are made for convenience, they're also detaching the human beings from nature. It is just creating more separation, more of a sense that you don't need to get in nature. Why? When you can be on the phone, on the TV, on the computer, on the camera, on the microphone, why to go be in nature? Right now we're still in winter for the most part of the US. It's very cold. And people cannot go to a park and take the shoes off and walk barefoot on the ground. You and I are blessed that we live in geographical regions in this country where we can enjoy the sun year round. I went to the beach yesterday to walk for a little bit. I was very tired and it was perfect. I lay down and breathe all of those minerals from the ocean. I woke up, it was perfect for me. It was no more than an hour, amazing. But I really, to my audience out there, once the weather gets better, if you are in one of those areas where it's cold, please go to the closest park. Go and walk without your shoes. Just lay down for a few minutes. It doesn't need to be hours. Just allow yourself to ground, to get on a a source of running water, a pond, a river, a little creek would be wonderful. The ocean would be even better. It's just trying to find ways to not forget that we are just part of that nature. We need to find ways of navigate all of these technologies that we created from our creativity. All of this came up, but do it in a safe way, and especially from the young ones. I'm very concerned about these new generations that are being raised with this attachments to their ears. So think about that. They're not listening at you or anybody. They are in their own inner world, and they are creating this massive amount of waves and electric waves disrupting their own biology. So
yeah,
we need to think about that and be more responsible. Like the parents are driving the kids right now and they are listening this podcast. Just keep that in mind. Keep that in mind.
Yeah, they call that the meta universe, Claudia. This is a huge topic. I mean, they have these kids, it's fake, it's fantasy land, and they tell them how to feel, how to think, how they slept, how many steps they took. You don't want that. You don't need that, digital feedback. You need to know how you feel. Connect to God, get grounded by nature. You'll be more protected and connected. And that's the resonance that we want. You have to listen to how your body feels. Listen to what the cues are that are telling you. And that's when we get back into restoring our health, is when we can do that, or having optimal health for that matter. But having electricity tell us all these things, that's not the answer at all.
I know. And we're not going back from where we are. I mean, I don't see ourselves going back to living farms and riding horses. Reality is, I used to do that. I live in a farm and I miss it very much. But what I'm doing right now is part of my mission. I want to really raise awareness on new ways, alternative ways to take care of our health. And for people out there listening that never heard about the rocks, they are learning today on ways on how to protect themselves from the artificial electromagnetic fields that we created as part of all of these electronics and these inventions that are facilitating our lives. So we just have to understand that the world that we're living in have these invisible toxins. They are there. They are interfering with our own biology. And to restore that balance and the perfection in where we were created, we need to do some interventions, use the rocks, go to the nature, and be more, more thoughtful about the usage of these technologies. Is what I think is the main message for talking to you. And I really appreciate your points of view on everything that from all of those topics we touched today. Thank you very much, Justin. In the name of my listeners, I know they're gonna be reaching out to you, hopefully purchasing the rocks and protecting themselves from these damaging effects from the artificial EMFs. So thank you very much, and thanks for your rocks. I would love to have you in another time talking about other topic related with this contamination.
Thank you, Claudia. I appreciate you so much. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you so much. And for you out there, remember, until next time, health is wealth for the body, mind, and soul. Take care.
Thank you very much for listening. And if you like the information that we shared with you today, please subscribe to the Expressoul Health and Wellness podcast and follow us in the social media outlets of your choice. Until next time, please remember, health is wealth for the body, mind, and soul.